You know, of those 4 Toyota drivers you just showed, only one started inside the top 20, and that was Joey Logano, who started 12th. They're leading this race. You think about his last 2 seasons. 2010, a championship contender, won 8 races. Last year, never a factor, won 1, but he has that championship crew chief of Tony Stewart, Darian Grubb, with him this year.
Hamlin leads the inside lane with Paul Menard, Regan Smith, Joey Logano, Jeff Burton, and Marcus Ambrose on the outside. Still pedaling. The outside lane, Greg Biffle with his teammate Matt Kenseth trying to make some noise.
After a while, though, you kind of give up on that outside line. You just say, man, I got to get down that line with everybody else and ride a while, because that's kind of what I see shaping up now.
Earnhardt is the 5th Chevrolet in the race, 13th overall right now. Jeff Gordon, his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, just in front of him. Tony Stewart right behind Earnhardt. So 3 Chevrolets trailing those 2 Fords on the outside. Back down to the garage area, Jeff Hammond.
Mike, right now you see him behind us at the 10 car now, Danica Patrick right now. They're working very intensely trying to get everything repaired. And what's going on? They have torn the entire rear end housing out from underneath it. Truck arms were damaged. Rear end housing was tore up. A lot of sheet metal damage. Greg Zipadelli's working on it. They've got to get all this stuff replaced, set it back down on the ground, realign everything. They really feel like it's imperative they get her back out there to get her some more experience, but more importantly, to try to get as many points as possible for this 10 car.
Now, the rear end housing is in the back of the car, and it's pretty much a solid axle that goes across the entire car, has the left rear and the right rear. It's also where the gear is, and it's hooked to the car with a left and a right trailing arm. Now, let's take a look at our Ford Racing Tech car. This whole apparatus here, that's the rear end housing. And these are the trailing arms that hold it under the car. So they've got to unbolt those trailing arms, unbolt that rear end housing. But you also see that's what has the gear in it. They'll probably even have to put a gear in that rear end housing. So it's a pretty extensive repair.
Feverishly, work continues in the garage as we cross through 25 laps. Denny Hamlin from Chesterfield, Virginia, late model stock car driver, tapped by Joe Gibbs to fill an empty seat. He's done a great job at his best Daytona 500 finish so far, 17th.
Stick around for more NASCAR on Fox.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
30 laps complete in Daytona. Catch the season premiere of Octane Academy tonight on Fuel TV. Check local listings for the time in your area. Watch and learn. Ford cars have won 2 of the last 3 Daytona 500s. This year is the first time that Roush Fenway Racing has swept the 500 front row. The last 10 500s have had 10 different winners. And this race so far has had 4 different leaders, 5 lead changes. And Denny Hamlin, driving a Toyota for Coach Joe Gibbs, leads the pack from Paul Menard, Regan Smith, Joey Logano, and Jeff Burton. Marcus Ambrose 6th, and little change among that front pack on the inside. Now, defending series champ Tony Stewart, car number 14 in his 14th Daytona 500, is running 14th.
Let the 88 know I'm doing the same thing he's doing, so don't tell him not to panic if I get inside or outside of him there. I'm not going anywhere. Will do.
For many, a race at Daytona. Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr. have been drafting in tandem and working together.
Well, that's managing your car. I mean, right now, you know, you're not doing anything. You're not taking any risks right now. And that's really what was so upsetting about that first lap. Don't take any risks right now. We got a long way to go here. Let's work together, not against each other.
Remember, Darrell, when he talked to Tony, talked to him about the rule change over the winter from last year where a driver can't talk to another driver. Last year, Tony Stewart would have told Dale Earnhardt on his own. Now you've got to go through the spotters above the grandstand. You
know, Mike, there's two strategies, sort of, there has been in the past for running a restrictor plate race, Daytona, Talladega. One is you get up here in the pack and you race hard, just like what we see these guys doing. The other is fall to the back. Pick up 3 or 4 guys that you like to run with and lay back. Remember at the start of the race when we saw Jamie McMurray drop to the inside? He went to the rear, picked up his teammate Juan Pablo Montoya, and these guys, they're about a half a second off what the leaders up there are running, but they're in a safety zone right now.
Right, that group of cars is 6 to 7 seconds behind the leader. It's led by number 29, a past Daytona 500 champion, Kevin Harvick. Includes Montoya, Terry Labonte, David Gilliland, Tony Raines back there. And you see the gap from them to the lead pack. Denny Hamlin, still the engineer of this fast freight train.
But that's about the right distance to be back. If something happens, a big wad of cars get all together, they can get stopped or slowed down before they get up in the middle of it. So they're playing it safe right now.
Yeah, Darrell, what I've noticed since those drivers they've got in a single file, because the drivers up here in this big pack are starting to mix it up as far as 2 lines, their lap times are mirroring the leaders.
Yeah, there is the new rear end for Danica Patrick's car going to be installed. And you see some help from the U.S. Army team from Stewart Haas Racing. That's Ryan Newman's team, teammate to Danica, as is Tony Stewart. Still a lot of work to do.
And as we watch that outside line with Greg Biffle up there and Jeff Gordon, they can make they get a little run and they think, okay, I think we're going to make it this time. And then that inside line pulls back ahead again. So they just haven't been able to get much further up, and what you see them right there.
Darrell, you're riding in a pack. You're closer together than most people park, but you're doing 195 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that's no Sunday drive.
No, and really and truly, you're at the mercy of everybody around you. If the guy in front of you should happen to have to lift a little bit for a car in front of him, it's an accordion effect. And that's the thing about pack racing. You know you're vulnerable the whole time you're up in the middle of that pack.
Yeah, our top 25 drivers right now separated by less than 2 seconds, as you said, Mike, over 190 miles per hour.
Michael Waltrip has won this race twice. In fact, he's the last repeat winner of the 500. We've had different winners all these last 10 years. Michael, how tense is this kind of racing right now as Trevor Bayne returns to the racetrack?
It's just so hard to sit there and be patient, guys. They threw the green flag. These guys have been sitting around for 24 hours wanting to race, and we saw a mistake by Elliott Sadler. I know Elliott's heart, and I know he's hurting for what he caused, but that's how tense it is. You want to go, but then you're so excited about the opportunity to go, and you overdo it. And that's what happened on that first crash. Now you see these guys, they're being patient, they're riding in line, they're not pushing on one another, but they're also learning. They're seeing what their temperatures will do. That's an issue. They're seeing how close they can get to the car in front of them and not overheat their engine. So there's a lot going on in the driver's head right now, trying to figure out how to get himself ready to race for the checkered flag.
Michael, if you were out there right now, would you want to be in that inside line, or would you like to be up on that outside line? Is there a safer place to be, one and the other?
Well, I think with this pack here, it's pretty calm, so I'm okay either place. But Darrell, what I would like to do is see what the difference is in the 2 lines, how my car will pull up or not, depending on which line I'm in. So that's what I'm saying. They're going to school right now. Denny Hamlin's at the head of the class. He doesn't have any worries at all. Biffle's concerned because he's up on the outside, but yet he can't make any ground. He's able to hang right there by Boyer, but that's as far as he can make it. So he also knows if the car behind him would just give him a push, they could go. But Jeff Gordon isn't ready to push yet. He doesn't want to get a hold of the back end and possibly cause another problem.
Yeah, right now you're just hoping there are no rats in that pack.
Exactly, and a flat tire, we saw that with Ryan Newman. Just think, Darrell, in the middle of that pack, a flat tire, something that simple, you're going to wipe out 10 or 12 cars.
We've wiped out a few already. We'll come up on the Garage Report when we come back. This summer, G.I. Joe returns with Bruce Willis and Dwayne Johnson. When most of the Joes are eliminated, the team calls in an old friend. G.I. Joe Retaliation in theaters June 29th.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T Rethink Possible. By Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And by G.I. Joe Retaliation in theaters everywhere June 29th.
The Daytona 500 has a new leader and the race pace has picked up. Get closer to your favorite driver's performance through every turn and every pit stop with the all-new RaceView 360. Available now only at NASCAR.com. Jeff Burton, the veteran from South Boston, Virginia, driving a Chevy for Richard Childress. He and Greg Biffle got together on the outside and went all the way to the front.
Yeah, pretty much everybody knows that 16 car Greg Biffle is bad fast. He won both practices, qualified on the front row, and when Burton saw him coming, he said, man, this is the guy I want to go with. So he jumped out there and went with him, and it took him right to the lead.
So here we see the two-driver tandem in the outside lane racing against the pack. And it's quicker than the pack, but they can only do that kind of racing here for so long with the new rules package.
But you know, one of the things I think they're also experimenting with right now, like we see, who can I get behind and push that we can make some time on that outside? You get the right partner. Obviously Biffle and Burton did it. Now you got Jeff Gordon sitting back there.
44 of 200 laps complete, 2 caution flags early. A 5-car wreck sent Jimmy Johnson, Danica Patrick, Trevor Bayne, and David Reagan and Kurt Busch to the garage. A single car spin by Ryan Newman put us under the second caution flag. We've had Denny Hamlin at the front for the most laps. 5 different leaders, 6 lead changes. Hamlin led 24 of them, and now Jeff Burton to the front. They ran nose to tail, Larry, one pushing the other, but they can't do that for long.
No, because of all the rule changes that NASCAR made with the cooling, you can only do it for about a lap or so, and then you've got gauges that will start flashing at you almost like an idiot light in a passenger car. You know, then you've got to get air to that radiator.
When that 11 car, when the Jeff Gordon in the 24, they were closing down on the 11 car really, really fast. Anybody else may have gone up and bammed into him and tried to push him, but Jeff Gordon and that line on the outside there with Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart, they all eased up out of the gas a little bit, drug the brakes a little bit, a little trail braking, fell right in behind him.
So Jeff Burton, whose older brother Ward won the Daytona 500 in 2002, Burton's best 500 finish, second in 2000.